Welcome to the Farming Show, brought to you by Private Property. My name is Mbali, and today I'm at a rooftop farm all the way in Pretoria, Menlyn Shopping Centre to be exact. I am visiting Andile Matukane, who's been in the agriculture industry for about 10 years now. And so today we're going to learn about her hydroponic setup right here in the heart of Pretoria. Please feel free to comment and engage with us, but more so, subscribe to our Farming Show channel. Andile, thank you so much for welcoming us here at your hydroponic farm. For those that don't know you or have never heard about you, tell us about who you are, how you got into the industry, and what does Farmer's Choice do?
Hi Mbali, it's always a pleasure to have visitors, or now I'll say to have you around.
Yeah.
And as you've mentioned that I'm Andile Matukane.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine that it's been so many years being in the farming industry.
Yes.
But basically I'm the founder and managing director of Farmer's Choice, which is basically doing mixed farming.
Okay.
And the nice thing is that now you get to witness where we are, where we're doing our rooftop farming, which is basically the vegetable side of it. And on the other side of it, we do pig production and goat production as well.
Oh, wow. Wow. You grew up in Bushbuck Ridge in Mpumalanga, to be exact. Tell us about your childhood and some of your fondest memories.
So I think everybody loves Bushbuck Ridge in a way, because there's so many things. And the nice thing, or the nice part about it for me, was that I think I lived closer to the Kruger National Park.
Wow.
So it was always easier to go to the national park. Now everybody, when they're telling me they're going to the national park, I'm like, I live there.
You've been there, done that.
So I think that's one of the greatest things that, people in Pretoria will talk about, we live in the city. I talk about, I live in the national park.
Yeah.
So that's one of the greatest things which I think comes with Bushbuck Ridge.
Yes. So living close to a national park, did that maybe spark an interest for you to pursue your educational background in agriculture? Because I know you studied agriculture. Maybe what majors did you focus on, and why specifically agriculture as a career choice?
I mean, for the fact that Mbali, right now we're smiling, we're not grumpy, we eat on a daily basis.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things that I wanted to see is how is our food produced. Yeah. So that's one of the things that led me to do farming. And I mean, being from Mpumalanga and studying, I started at the University of Mpumalanga, where I did my diploma in crop production. And interestingly, seeing how food is produced, further on I went on with TET, also majored in crop production, doing agronomy, and I'm still doing my master's in plant pathology, now having to understand if plants really are living or they're not.
Yes.
And surprisingly they are, they're like us, they respond the same way as we do.
Yeah, yeah. But I know we are in Pretoria, and you made reference to doing crop production and also having livestock. Is that the farm you're mentioning that you have in Mpumalanga? Maybe tell us a little bit more about that production.
So the livestock side of it, it's something that I started at home. So we have a farm. Yeah, everyone who has land, it's a farm. So it's not a plot, it's a plot though. Yeah. But yeah. So we started small. It's more of a family thing.
Okay. But
we're selling it to the public. And we wanted to see how pigs respond. And there's a huge gap in between. I mean, Bushbuck Ridge is not the same as Pretoria. It's more of I'll call it a rural area.
Okay.
So there's more people who need meat on a daily basis. So that's one of the reasons why we started with pigs. And then we've introduced goats as well, which are responding very well. And I mean, I don't know if I just have those green hands in terms of farming that everything responds very well. But yeah, I think everything together, it works perfectly because you get to experience the livestock and the crop as well. And it makes everything easier, I think, on my side.
Yeah. So would you call yourself a first generation farmer or second or third?
I call myself a first.
Okay. But you had a family that's already been farming, or is it something that you just recently started with your family back in Mpumalanga?
So, I mean, I grew up from an educational background, as in from my parents. So, being the first generation farmer, there was no farming involved.
Yes.
It was only me who just jumped out and thinking probably farming should be something. Why is everyone not tapping in it?
Yes.
So, yeah, that's why I think I would be the first generation farmer.
Yeah, I think you're fortunate to have family members who are managing this farm in Mpumalanga, and you're right here in Pretoria, in the city, doing crop production. Do you find it challenging maybe also having to oversee both businesses? How are you coping to make both entities successful?
So, I mean, there's this saying of travel and see the world and learn and all those things. So that's the nice part. But the challenging part is that one has to be on the road every now and then, because now you have to oversee both sides. But the farm being on a family land where there's actually other activities involved within, it makes it easier because then I have people who are helping out in terms of having to see that the farm is fully functional and everything else works perfectly while I'm away.
You know, I remember you mentioned a small story about you coming to this rooftop farm because of your frustrations and not finding land in the city. So when people listen to you right now and are thinking, but she's got a farm back home in Mpumalanga, why doesn't she take a crop production and go farm back home? So why isn't that the case for you right now?
So, I mean, as I've mentioned, I'm one person who's always traveling around, having to explore, seeing other opportunities. And also what I've said to you is, I define land in many ways. There's a plot, there's a land.
Yes.
So I think what we have at home, it's a plot.
Yeah.
And everyone is moving away from rural areas to urban spaces, recrowding the urban spaces. At the same time, people need to eat. And me trying to find ways in terms of measuring the part where there's overcrowding of people and prices of food having to go higher than what people expect. So that's one of the reasons to say, if people are crowding the city, then let me bring the food to them, and probably it would be of a reasonable price to them as well.
Yeah, and how are you enjoying it so far, having established Farmer's Choice right here in Pretoria?
I mean, we were in one of South Africa's biggest shopping center.
Yeah.
So who wouldn't want to be here? That's one of the greatest things, I think.
Yes.
But then also being in the city, you get to meet a lot of people who've been in the industry for years and years and years. And there's always this thing of opportunities are within this side rather than the other sides. So we get to see some of the opportunities which I then think I'm able to take back home as well and try to establish something that nobody has at home.
Yeah.
It's because we're learning it from the city. That's why most of the universities are in the cities rather than back in the rural areas.
Yeah, Andile, I can't wait to get to learn more about your production and operations. I see some beautiful letters in the backdrop there, so I'm super excited to get to know about your operations. What is it that you're growing, why you're growing the crops that you're growing, and maybe just educate us on your production systems here at your farm.
So basically there's a lot that you have to learn about this kind of production. And I'll simply take you through the whole thing and you'll get to see everything that's happening.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
It's nice having you.
Well, there you have it. You heard from Andile herself, how she grew up in Mpumalanga at Bushbuckridge, and now she's farming in her hydroponic rooftop farm right here in Menlyn, moving from livestock to crop production, but also getting her family to manage the livestock production back at home. Join us in the next episode where we get to take a deep dive into her hydroponic production systems. learning about the crops that she's growing. I'm also curious to find out what market she's tapping into right here, because this area is such a busy city center. Please feel free to comment, share your thoughts with us, and most importantly, subscribe to The Farming Show. See you next time.